All right. I believe I am live. Happy Friday. Welcome to Flow Friday. I am your host, the capacity coach, Nicole Roan, and I am really excited to be talking to you guys tonight about capacity, right? Capacity is kind of what I do. My whole goal in being the capacity coach is to make sure that you are able to create balance between your personal and your professional life without ever having to sacrifice yourself, your family, and really what matters most to you. And so tonight I'm going to be talking all about telling the truth. And I know that's really, really vague, but I want to say this. When I think about capacity, I realize through my own journey and through working with my clients that it requires a certain level of honesty. And so we're going to get into that tonight. As far as capacity and flow and flourish and all those things go, when you hear those things, I want you to think of me, because really our ability to do all the things that we want to do to, live the lives that God has called us to live requires us to have the capacity, the time and the energy to be able to do those things. So tonight, again, we're talking all about being honest with yourself, and we're going to talk about it in each of these different areas of flow. So first and foremost, I always like to start with heart flow. And heart flow is really everything that tugs on your heartstrings. So that's your relationships, your values, your boundaries. And it's really important that we start being honest there before we go anywhere else, because oftentimes that's where the hangups are, right? And specifically, I'm talking about being honest with yourself about what is and what is not working in those relationships. And I've shared openly about, my relationship with my husband, where there was a time where I had to be very honest that stuff just was not working. I wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. The kids weren't happy. Like nobody was happy. But in order for me to make some steps or to make some changes to that, I had to be honest about what was working and what was not working. And part of heart flow means really being honest around, are you afraid to be by yourself? Right? Especially when we talk about relationships. And so I want to encourage everybody tonight to start to think about what relationships are either giving you life or sucking you dry. Because I've said in podcast after podcast that you are the company that you keep. So really being able to be honest about, is my best friend that I've been friends with for 50 years, not 50, because ain't nobody over here 50, but you know what I'm saying. Has my best friend that I've been friends with my entire life, is that relationship helping me flow and flourish? Or is it draining me? Am I constantly having to defend, what it is that I say about my vision, my business, my family? Do I feel like it's reciprocal? Those sorts of things. It's taking the time to really just be honest with yourself, because you can probably fool somebody else, but at the end of the day, you have to look you in the mirror. You know what you're happy about. You know what is filling you up, and you know what's taken away from your energy. So I want everybody to take the time to really just be honest about what's going on in here. And this kind of ties into workflow as well, because I know for myself, stepping back from a six-figure cushy HR leadership role was not something that I wanted to do. I felt like I needed to be obedient, because that's what God was telling me to do. But I wasn't happy about that. I was terrified. I, talked to everybody in my circle that I knew about it. There was fear behind that. But part of what I also needed to be honest with myself about is that I had really outgrown that job. I was really good at it. And I know there's plenty of us out here who are really good at what we do. And we may have been in these roles for a long time, but I stopped feeling fulfilled. I stopped feeling energized and stopped wanting to do my best and was just showing up doing okay. And so really being able to be honest about what's going on in your career, whether it's that, you've been trying to get a promotion and the company that you're with just really not feeling you. They're telling you that you're a good employee, but you are not moving up the ladder as you would like. or that you're underpaid, or that the work that you're doing really just does not suit what you value today. It's about taking the time to be honest about what is going on in that workspace for you, right? Are you happy? Is it a healthy environment? Do you feel like you can grow? Are you developing professionally the way that you want to? So taking the time to really think about that and ask yourself those questions, because if you do not, it's going to tug at and take up your mental capacity, your emotional capacity, and then that starts to show up in every single area of your life. It circles back to your heart flow, right? You might be taking it out on your kids, on your spouse, on your girlfriends, your friends, like, because you are so upset about what may be going on at work, but you're not addressing the issue. But it starts with getting honest in here about what's going on in your heart. And so I also want to talk about our health flow. And that's a really big one, because I know everybody every year, I know we're not at, New Year's yet, but I know plenty of people, myself included, who always set these intentions and these goals to get right in my health, right? Whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, and even financially. But are you being honest about what you're not doing? Because half the time, not even half, I'm going to say 99% of the time, we know what we need to do, but we're not willing to make any of the changes. We're not willing to do what needs to be done in order to achieve the goals that we want in our health. And some of us, let's be honest, ain't even going to the doctor, right? We're not going to the doctor. We're not making the time to go to our appointments. We are keeping everything in our head and, not really tending to our mental health, our emotional health. And maybe it's because you're in a space where you don't feel like you can, because if you allow yourself to feel, you might burst apart at the seams. But that awareness, right? You being able to be honest and saying, you know what, I'm not good right now mentally. The way my capacity is set up today is not going to allow me to do X, Y, and Z. So it's more so about examining what is going on in your health. And all of those things tie into your health physically as well, right? Because many of you know my story of being at max capacity and landing in the hospital, being in ICU, fighting for my life because I was neglecting what was going on mentally, emotionally, and then it manifested physically. And so if you take nothing else from this conversation, take the time to assess what needs to be done for your health. And I know everybody's talking about the pandemic and, building up our immune systems and doing all of those different things, but are you taking care of your health on a regular basis? And I'm going to just say it, like, on a regular basis, are you taking care of the hygiene that you need to? Because some of us may not be. And it could be due to depression. It could be due to you get so busy, you forget to brush your teeth, like all of those different things. But your health depends on it. So I want you to take the time to be honest around what needs to shift in your health flow. Again, that's mentally, physically, emotionally, because they're all tied together. And then let's talk about cash flow right quick. The money, because whether we like it or not, we need money to survive, right? And so that, of course, is tied to your workflow, your fulfillment, if you're making enough. But how are you managing your money? Because this pillar is all about your habits and your mindset, right? What kind of habits do you have? And this is going to be reflected directly in your bank account. Are you spending your check before you get it? Are you budgeting? Are you saving? Are you doing like I was doing in my video, got money to blow because are feeling like you just need to do that in order to feel good? Are you practicing retail therapy? What is going on in your cash flow? You cannot track what you don't measure, and you can't measure what you don't track. So if you say that you are wanting to buy a house, that you're saving for a new car, that you're saving for vacation to get the hell out of wherever you're at and escape the winter like me in Chicago, how are you doing that? Are you taking the time to pay attention to what's coming in and what's going out? Because oftentimes I know in our community, people of color, we may not always manage money the best way because maybe we weren't taught that. But just because you weren't taught that doesn't mean you don't have the ability to learn how to do it. And if you are not happy, happy with what's going on in your cash flow, then that's automatically going to show up and how you show up to work, right? Looking disgruntled or thinking about all the bills that you need to pay or didn't pay and how to shake and move and, twist things around. Or even if you're planning, like I said, to get a house or to, get a new car, or you're saving for college for your child or whatever it is. If your money is not right, it's going to take so much space mentally and emotionally on your capacity. So I really want us to make sure that we're managing our cash flow as well, because it impacts each and every area of our life, and it impacts our capacity overall. And last but not least, I want to talk about faith flow. Now, I consider this to be like the pillar of pillars, because it's about your foundation and your functioning. And again, since we're talking about telling the truth tonight, I want you to be honest about what level of faith do you have right now, right? Meaning, are you seeking God on a regular basis, or are you trying to figure everything out on yourself by yourself? Are you me, myself, and I, like I say in the capacity calculator, but when it comes to your faith? Are you inviting God to the conversation around your marriage, around your finances, around your health, around your business, around your relationships? And for me, I really had to be honest in this season and say, you know what, God, I've been so busy being busy that I haven't invited you in as frequently as I should have been or would like to. And so that's really one of the areas that I'm focusing on right now in my life, between my health and my faith, is building my faith muscle. Because oftentimes that's the first thing that goes, especially when things are going good. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Your faith can shift based on what is going on in your life if you don't have a solid faith foundation. And so again, I am just telling you to be honest with yourself about where you are faith-wise. Do you need some more encouragement in the word? Do you need to surround yourself with other people who believe some of the things that you believe? Or are you surrounded by people who don't have the same faith, period, don't have, the same beliefs as you, and are not able to pour into you in the ways that you need to be poured into? And I know for me in this season, that means that I am part of a couple of different Bible studies that are helping me to get my faith in order, because I know I need to rebuild that faith muscle. And so I wanted to share that, because whether it's your cash flow, your heart flow, your faith flow, when just one of those areas is off, your capacity can be and will lead to being maxed out. And it impacts how you show up at work. It impacts how you show up as an individual, to show up for yourself. And so my goal, again, with all of this is just to encourage you to be honest about what's going on in each and every one of those areas. And to do that, you have to take a step back and you have to assess. And so I know this is a quick live, but I wanted to come on and make sure that I shared that with you guys, because as we move into this last quarter of the year, last 3 months of 2021, I want us to be prepared to have everything that's there for us in 2022. We need to leave baggage. We need to leave unhealthy relationships. We need to leave taking up our capacity with things that are not really ours and don't reflect really our values. And so if you need help managing your capacity in one of those different areas, the first thing I would recommend that you do is to absolutely take my capacity calculator, because it is free 99 and it gives you tips on how to manage your capacity based on where you fall. There are 3 different levels. So start there. And if after taking that, you still need some help, or if you're watching this and something is resonating with you, then book a complimentary capacity check-in where I can help you talk through and figure out what area of flow really is blocked, where you need to maybe shift some things around, and just have a conversation on where to start and be honest with yourself. And so I'm going to check the chat quick. I'm not really seeing anything as of yet. Oh, see, look, I'm hiding stuff. Bear with me, y'all. So if there are questions, comments, definitely feel free to drop those in. But wanted to hop on here again for Flow Friday just to remind you how essential it is for you to be honest with yourself. Because again, you could fake the funk with everybody else, but you have to look yourself in the mirror every single day. You know what it is that you may be struggling with. You know what it is, where it is that you are at max capacity, and you don't have to struggle with that by yourself. You have a whole capacity coach in your back pocket. If you know somebody that is struggling with their capacity, send them my way too, so we can all get our lives together and continue to be great throughout the rest of 2021 and going into 2022. I'll talk to you soon.